Hello, everyone. My name is Jane White, and I'm the Library Success Manager at Above the Tree Line. My job is to make sure that you have the best possible experience with Edelweiss. In this video, I'm going to talk about weeding, what I call the third rail of library science. We all know that weeding is necessary to maintain a healthy collection, but it can be difficult for your patrons to see you throwing out good books, or at least what they think are good books. Weeding is both an art and a science. Edelweiss can help you with the science by using analytics to determine which titles should be flagged for review. You as a librarian know your users and your collection and can make determinations of what should stay and what should go based on the non-science factors. If someone gave your library a large bequest but asked that you purchase a book on roses in honor of his mother, you're probably going to want to keep that book in the library, even if it never circulates. Paul Courant, in his book, The Idea of Order, Transforming Research Collections for 21st Century Scholarship, included a study which investigated the costs associated with on versus off-site storage of print collections. So you can literally say that having a book on the shelf costs money. If it isn't circulating, it is costing you money and shelf space that could be used for a different title that might circulate more. There are two ways to weed using Edelweiss, depending on which version you are using. The first method is to use the State of the Collection report. More specifically, the section on freshness. Freshness is not how new the titles are in your library, but rather how often they circulate. The State of the Collection report breaks down your collection by BISAC category, and then for each of the 45 categories includes a dashboard, as you can see on the screen. The pie chart here is what you're looking for. This will tell you the titles in that category that are not circulating. The areas you're going to want to focus on are those that are dark blue and medium, as these titles in the dark blue have not circulated for 8 years or longer, and those in the medium blue have not circulated between 4 and 8 years. Here's the title level data for the dark blue area we saw on the last slide. We work on a concept here at Edelweiss of shelf days, which is defined as the number of days since the last circulation multiplied by the number of copies on the shelf. The first title on this chart is a reference book. As those don't circulate, of course you're going to ignore it. The second book, though, has 3 copies and none of them has circulated in the last 22,866 days. So you can weed them all, or maybe just 2. With the 1997 copyright date, it is likely you will weed them all. The information on the left tells you if there has been any sales in the retail market. Again, this data repeats for all 45 genres. As an added bonus, the State of the Collection report also has a detailed breakdown of children's books, so you can really drill down on those. Although it says beta, it's no longer beta, we just haven't updated that. And here are the category breakdowns for the kids genres. So you can see that you can really drill down here to get to that part of the collection. In the Summit tier, there is a separate weeding analysis lane that allows you more flexibility in setting up weeding profiles. There are 2 aspects to the weeding in Summit. First, there's the time period, and second is the subject. You can set up profiles to quickly get to titles based on the thresholds by collection code or collection code groupings. You can have multiple profiles set up, and you can share those profiles with your colleagues. So if you have a default profile that everyone follows, for example, 28 months with no check-ins or checkouts, then you can save that and share it with everyone, and then each person can then add a filter to weed in their own review area that they select in. You can evaluate the collections chosen by those that are poorly circulating, those that are potentially worn, those that may be outdated, and you can also have the number of copies set up. And some of those books will overlap. They could be poorly circulating and also potentially worn. You can actually print from that reading as well, without adding it to an action plan. There's more data included in the PDF version, but as you can see here, it includes the barcode. It includes the date that it was last checked in, how many year-to-date circulations there have been, the lifetime circulations that it has done. Again, you can export this as a PDF or as a spreadsheet. So let's grab our tools and let's start weeding. Let me just get into Edelweiss itself. So this is an example of the summit lane. And over here is the weeding profile. Right now it is set for default, which is poorly circulating of 24 months with no check-in or checkouts, worn of at least 25 checkouts, outdated of 15 years or 15 years in your ILS system, and it has at least one copy on the shelf. Currently, there's no filter on this. So if I wanted to set up a profile to say, you know what, I think it should be 36 months on the shelf, which would be about 3 years, I can set that. I'm going to say that the area that I want to filter in is gardening, since it's spring. And I've already set up my filter for gardening here. So I'm going to apply my filter. And as you can see, it is applying this. And it is now pulling up all the books that are gardening that have been poorly circulating within the last 36 months that have no check-ins or checkouts. So if I click into the poorly circulating area, it will load. And as you can see, it's pulled on all of those books that are poorly circulating, and it will tell me the information. It will tell me whether it's the only copy that's on the shelf or whether there's more than one copy. So for this book, The All Seasons Garden by John Kelly, it looks like we have 2 copies on the shelf, but they're not circulating. So if I think that this All Seasons Garden might be something that should stay in my collection, I might want to get rid of one of those books. This book, The Good Housekeeping Book of Houseplants, you might want to look at. This book, Wildflowers Across America by former First Lady Lady Bird Johnson, there are 3 copies on the shelf, all poorly circulating. So it might be something that we might want to get rid of. And again, you can then select all of these titles, select them all, and then you can export them to either a CSV file, which will export them to Excel, or export them to a PDF. And again, you can apply this to any sort of filter that you want. If you want to do a different section of your collection, all you have to do is apply the filter. And you can either do your own filters, as I did with mine, or you can choose the genre filters that we already have set up. So if you wanted to drill down into any of these, you can certainly do that. And then you can clear the filter as well. The other thing to look at too, it's kind of weeding, but is also, if you have multiple branches that you're looking at, it might be something that you want to do to rebalance your collection. So here in this area of the 700s on this category performance lane, it says that it's overstocked. So I'm going to click into here. And as you can see, it's now created a temporary filter. And now it says that Maine is actually very overstocked in this area. And again, pulling into the graphic arts, drilling down again, it looks like the West branch is actually overstocked in books on block printing. The other branches look like they're okay. If one of these branches showed as understocked, you might want to take some of the books here and move them over to another branch. As I've been applying these filters, this is also coming down to this weeding analysis lane as well. So that if I click on that, it's going to show me the books in this area that are poorly circulating based on this default profile that I have set. So you can see that Edelweiss is making your weeding a lot easier, and you can weed your collection to make it the most healthy. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a good time weeding your collection.